Okay. So we log in into our AWS account. Just so we need to provide our token. All seven seven. So we are in our AWS account. Let's try to explore today what we explore. Uh, Today we are going to start with our EC2 services. So, what we are going to see here today is overview of EC2 services, which includes all the left-hand menu you are seeing, all the left-hand menu, which includes the instances. So these are the instances page in which if you run any instances, it will be running and showing the different instances state. Then coming to the instance type, so there would be different types of instances which one can prefer depending upon the requirement. First of all, so it will be something like would be using and seeing. So let's take example of one of the instance type which we are going to use is t2.micro. If we search and if it is able to find that particular instance type, okay, is not able to find, then let's have some filter of micro. Okay, so this is .micro instance type. So as the name suggests, it is of minimal usage instance with one CPU and 1 GB of RAM. Yeah, it depends upon how much CPU or memory utilization we need to have. So basically, for example, if we want to go with the more and RAM, we would be choosing something like small, medium, or large, X large, or these kinds of instances which are there. Another page is the launch template. So we are going to explore this also in the launch template part. So in the launch template, it is like a configuration file basically. So a configuration, for example, it would be something like if EC2 is running and you have set up like one CPU or instance type, how much RAM, how much memory, what OS, all these things if you have configured. Yeah, so AWS creates a file out of it and that uses that file to create your EC2 instances. So we would be using this file, or you can say that we would be creating the. Another one is the spot instances. So spot instances have the different concept of working. Then we go into the saving plans. So saving plans are relatively used at enterprise level when you need to run your resources for a year or a 3-year plan, then these things comes into picture. So as these come starting from the spot instances, saving plans, reserved instances, dedicated hosts, capacity reservations, and capacity manager, all these things are something like optimization, cost optimization, which many companies do and use these plans actually to reduce their cost for the long term commitment to AWS. So we would be not going through, but we would be seeing what is its requirement in specific, how we can reduce our AWS bill using this bot requests or the saving plans or the reserve instances or dedicated host if it is needed to with your capacity reservations and capacity manager. Capacity manager is the new kind of a thing which has been latest introduced by the AWS. And these are the remaining sections of AWS. Coming to the images section, so what is the image? Image is like a complete replica of a EC2 server which contains OS level configurations, OS installed in it. So it is like a static bundle file which contains all the libraries, all the binaries, how much volumes are attached, and all those things bundled in a single configuration file, plus contains the data as well. That is the image of any EC2 server. Volumes, EBS block storage. So the type of the storage which EC2 is using is like a block storage. So we would be touching that, how the block storage are used in the EC2. So snapshots is used for the backing up of things. Security groups are basically to used to protect the EC2 from or allowing particular access to EC2. We would be seeing security group at that when we launch an EC2 instance. Security group will help us in getting the idea how a particular instance can be protected or allowed traffic at a EC2 level or a security group level, so that it can allow certain traffic on any port or a particular segment of the traffic which is coming from any dedicated source. Remaining are the load balancing and auto scaling things, which we will be also seeing, and setting up of a load balancer. We will be doing that. Auto scaling, we would be doing that too. And slowly we would be taking care each and everything which would help us in learning the EC2 section of the AWS. Okay, so let's launch our very first instance. Let's see what are the options. So these are the very few options which are there in the EC2 server. So very first, so here we start again. Mm, So this is the form of launching an EC2 instance. So we would be going through each and every what is its importance, and we try to get some idea what are its requirements and what are our essential one to start an EC2 instance. So, so the name field which is says that is the name of the server, and in the name of the server means something like a tag which gets created, and its key is name, and its value gets what you fill in this form. So this is the one which we generally write. So just for example, we write web server. So this is the one name tag which we have written. Coming to the another field which is the application OS images or AMIs, what we are going to use. So to start an EC2 instance, we require some of the basic things. One is the name which we have already given. Another is the OS images what we are going to use. So the OS image which we are going to use depends upon the quick start AMIs which are there, like the base operating system AMIs which is provided by AWS, and we can use any one of them. Starting with Amazon Linux, which is brought to you by Amazon. Another is Mac OS, some is Ubuntu, Windows, Red Hat, Linux, and Debian based Linux, and which are there. So these are the OS which are directly available and directly we can use them. So we select Ubuntu for now. As we have selected the Ubuntu, its consecutive Amazon image is selected, which is of version. See this version, it is Ubuntu 24.04 LTS. So this image is stored directly in the repositories or the OS repositories of AWS, and directly we can use them to start any EC2 instance. So for example, if we start any EC2 instance, this particular image what we are using gets embedded in that EC2, and once the EC2 starts running, this image would be there. Coming to the next field which we called it as the instance type. So we click on this info also. AWS has provided some of the basic so it is something like which we can go through and read about it more. Coming to the instance type, as we already know, instance type the combination of CPU and memory resources which we allocate to any EC2 server. So CPU and RAM instances count describes any particular instance type. D3.micro, what we are seeing here is it is having 2 CPUs and 1 GPU of RAM. We can use this D3.micro. So as you can see, it has its various pricing also. Ubuntu based pricing or the Linux based pricing or Windows based pricing or on demand or RHL basis pricing, which are already mentioned in this field. So we can go with the 2 CPU and 1 GB of RAM, which we call it of instance type as T3.micro. So now to log in into the EC2 system, there is a special key value pair which we call it as the SSH keys needed to be created so that we can do SSH login into the EC2 server and run commands on the server. And how we are going to log in into the EC2 server, what are its various methods, we are going to cover as we move ahead. So let's first create the new key pair. We click on the create a new pair and let's name it as web server key, and then click on create key pair. Once you click on the create key pair, and it will be the key pair, which we call it as the private key, gets downloaded into your laptop, and that will be used to connect to any EC2 server. And the public key, which is them, is stored in the EC2 server .ssh folder. And then coming to the another field is the networking field. We keep it defaults. All the things would be default. Just the important part, what we need to note here is the create a security group portion. In this create a security group, what it means, let me edit this section. We are going to create a new security group. So, or we can select the existing security group also. If there is any, we can select the existing security group. Let's select the existing security group, which we is created by AWS. Once you create any AWS account, the regions at the VPC level get it some default configuration, and default security group is one of them. Next is the storage part. What is the last thing? The storage, which is there, which we can use to store or provide storage to our EC2 server. It has two basic fields. What is the amount of storage what is needed to be put on the EC2, and the type of the storage. It is like for your provisional purpose or the general purpose. Provisioned IOPS means it is something like it is used to for the high input output operations. We are going to select the default one, which is GP3 one, which is the default general purpose storage type. And some are there also for the archival purpose, like the magnetic storage, as it is mentioned, that we can use also, but yeah, it is not required for now. In the advanced details, there are some other form field not required as it is, so we can leave them off. So just to go through once again, so the name, what is here, the name of the server would be web server. We are going to use the application and OS image, which is Ubuntu. We have selected the instance type as t3.micro. Key pair is web server key. In the network settings, what is required here is VPC, subnet, and all these are defaults. And select security group is also we have selected as the default one only. We can also create a new security group and attach it to the EC2 server that we will be seeing later. And finally, what volume or the storage volume what we have attached is of 8 GB, and which is of type GP3, which provides us around 3000 IOPS as mentioned in the form. So these are the four, you can say that if you count it as the OS, the instance type, which provides the CPU and RAM, the networking, and the storage, that if we sum together, that brings up the EC2. We just created a configuration form. We just fill up the configuration form. You can call it as a template also. If you remember this section, the launch template, what we are talking about is the same thing. The form which we have filled gets saved in a format which is used to start any EC2 using that form. So it is like you don't need to fill this form again and again. That is the main reason and idea behind it, to use the launch templates of EC2 services. Let's start with this thing and move ahead and click on launched instance. This is the yellow color button which we can click on it. As we click on this launch EC2 instance button, a EC2 server will be starting up, or you can say that booting up, and in some time it goes into the running state. If we just go back to our previous pages and click on the instances and select this thing, it is in the running state, though the status check, which we call it as the health check, is still in something like initializing phase. So what is needed to be checked, we will go through each one of them one by one. So till now what we have done, we have filled up a EC2 server form, which has asked us to provide the name tag. So if you see the name tag, this is the name tag which I was talking about. It just is it is like a key value pair. Key is the name and the value is the name which you have written in the form. Another thing which we have selected is the operating system, which is the Ubuntu operating system. If you just scroll down a little bit, this Ubuntu images which we have used. And what else we have selected, if you remember, the instance type is micro, and storage will be 8 GB, and security, it would be security group, which we have selected as default security group. So these are the four things which we have uh, needed to take care, which we actually need to take care while using any or starting any EC2 instance. One is the name. Yeah, name is like something like which is needed to be the. Another most important thing is the operating system, what we are selecting. Third one is the instance type. So instance type is the combination of the CPU and the RAM. Then comes the networking. In the networking, we select the VPC, and in the VPC, we have different subnets, AZs we need to select, and the security group. Lastly, which we have selected as the default one. And lastly, what we have configured is the amount of storage that needs to be allocated to our EC2 server. So this uh, 4 or 5 configuration things are the important one. Rest, as we move ahead, we learn more about them, but these are the 4 basic things that needed to covered when we try to learn, or when we try to start an EC2 server on the AWS cloud platform. So let's move ahead and refresh this page again. So these health checks have passed. What is a health check? It is something like the internal system. So to check the status or the health status of the EC2 server. So once these checks are passed, you can say that our EC2 server is ready to use. So today, the most important thing what we are going to learn today is the number of the ways to connect EC2 instances. So let's give it some time, and we try to understand of the section in the details page what are it. Then we will be learning the connect section, how to connect to any EC2 instances. So in the details page, what we are seeing here is the instance ID. It is the unique ID generated when any EC2 server is created. Another thing is the public IP address. So public IPv4 address, what it means that once any EC2 server is launched, if it is in the public subnet, a public IP address, if it is enabled, gets allocated to EC2 server. And if you want to just access this server using this public IP, you would be able to do that. That is the reason it is the publicly unique IP address that is available on the internet. And if you try to access the server, if you want to access the server, you can use this public IP to access this server. Remaining things are of 2 CPUs and how much configuration we have done, which is of already we have seen when filling out the form. It depends upon your requirement. if you require the large CPU size of like the micro instances currently we are using, if you need to have the small or medium or large kind of an instance, we can go with the instance type as per the requirement. But I think it would be better if we start with the micro one, because it comes under the free tier and it does not cost much when we try to do some practical things on the AWS account. So the next thing what we are going to learn here is how we can connect to our to server, or what you mean to say here is that how we can remotely access our server so that we can update our EC2 server, install some packages, update the libraries, install some softwares, all these things which we can do using our using our remotely. There are many ways which has been provided by AWS. If you go through each of them, let's see what are those. We have AWS Instance Connect, we have a session manager, we have a SSH client, and we have a serial console too. We will be seeing these three. Serial console is of not required as of now, but yeah, the three important ones are these things. Okay, let's try to connect to the EC2 instance using the very first method, which we called as EC2 Instance Connect method. So in the EC2 Instance Connect method, the connection is being made directly over the browser. So you would see a terminal gets opened on the browser, and you would be able to run the commands on the EC2 server. So just we click on the connect button and let's wait till the page is being loaded. So you can see the terminal being open on the EC2 connect button which we have clicked on, and this terminal is directly connected to our EC2 server. So any commands or the Linux commands which we run on this server would be directly, you can say that, running on the server only. So for example, we just type sudo apt update and press enter, you would be seeing that updation command has run on the EC2 server, and the EC2 server and packages, or the, you can say that, repository is being updated. So this is one way we can utilize to connect to our EC2 instance. So let's move ahead to another way. Just click on this cross button, close the terminal off. I click on the third tab, which is the SSH client. So remember, if you have downloaded that key, would be utilizing that key to connect to our terminal. So the key which is downloaded in our, let's see where it is downloaded. It is downloaded in my this folder. So what I need to do here is PowerShell. When any terminal which you have in your system, and try to go to that particular folder. Let's say this is the downloads. Okay, might not be able to see my. Let me the small screen. So this is the PowerShell terminal open, and let's download folder. Okay, I have many files. Just the important one which we need to take care is the PEM file, which is the name of the file is webserverkey.pem. So if I just modify file to this, now the chmod command is not recognized at the Windows system. Cut them off. So directly try to connect to the server using SSH command. Web server key. Create domain which is directly you can copy this. Let's see. Inside the server. Let's run that command once again. And we are able to run the system update command directly on the EC2 server remotely. So this is another way of connecting to the EC2 server. So the two ways which we have learned today is the EC2 Instance Connect, where another is SSH client. So just stop this thing right now so that our AWS bill does not go much, because the number of hours or the minutes our EC2 server is running, it should be providing us some bill. So it is depending upon the number of hours. If you have run it for 1 or 2 hours, AWS would be providing you. What we need to do here is to just stop the server and delete the server off. Next thing, when we move ahead, we would be exploring some other resources of AWS. Another one is the volume section, security group, elastic IPs, and all those sections we would be covering up again. So till now what we have is how to start an EC2 server, how to launch any EC2 server, and how we can to our EC2 server using two methods that we have seen. First method is the EC2 Connect, another method is SSH. So these are the two methods which we have seen, and thank you. Let's move ahead once we back again.